Hey there, this is Scott Henderson, aka Scotty Hendo, and I am appreciative that you're taking time to watch today's installment of Feed Your Roots Today, How Leaders Lead in Troubled Times. So this is a 5-day series that we're dropping so that it helps you help the people that are on your team get through these really unpredictable, unknown unknowns that we're having to deal with. The good news is we have great insights being human beings and how to survive through things. And I'm going to share a couple things with you. Now, first off, let's get to it. And why feed your roots? Well, I'm a child of Nebraska and I live in Indiana. And if you're out here on the prairie, you appreciate how resilient prairie plants are. And you know, you've got fires that come through, you've got locusts, you've got buffalo stampedes, you got all kinds of stuff. You have terrible droughts, harsh winters, but yet they survive. Why? Well, this is what a prairie plant looks like. They are 70% root structures. So they have 70% of their entire mass is roots. And that's what we're going to do here through this 5-day series, is help you invest in the roots that you're going to need to make it through these really tough times. All right? So why me? What is it about me? Well, I've been able to put together amazing teams over the years and do some amazing projects, but probably more importantly is I've failed a lot of times. Failed businesses, I've had severance packages, I've had a failed marriage. It's a lot of stuff of being a human being, and that's the best thing is you and I are human beings, and we are qualified for this because we come from an unbroken chain of survivors, all the way back to the original single-cell organism that we all have derived from, have evolved from. We have survived. So we have it in us. It's in our code. It's up to you and I to pull it out of us. And the way we're going to do that is actually short circuit our brain, which is wanting to be in the old ancient parts of the brain, and bring it forward into this human neocortex to be able to think better. So, you know, if you look at cell biology, you can see that there's usually only 3 states that cells are in. Neutral is one of them, and that's rarely in neutral. It's usually in the other 2, which is protection and growth, right? So either our cells are trying to protect themselves or they're trying to grow. Well, can you guess what we're in right now? Within where we are, you know, if you think about from the Maslow's hierarchy of needs pyramid, you know, typically we're in my normal day's work pre-pandemic was helping as a Gallup certified strengths coach get people to the top of self-actualization. Well, unfortunately, when you have the pandemic and no one that breaks out and no one really knows what to do, how they can protect themselves, ain't nobody got time for that, right? There is nothing that we're thinking about growth at that point. We're thinking about survival. We are down here. You and your team members are here emotionally and psychologically and physically, all focused on how do I make it through what's going on right now. So if we at least acknowledge this and we let others on our team know that we are all dealing with security and safety, and it's not about productivity. You can put the productivity porn out the window and let them know right now it's just about surviving. Everyone's working from home. People have kids and doing schoolwork, or you know, they're by themselves or with a lot of people. It's crazy, and we're about 3 weeks into this, and we've got probably 2 to 3 months more of this in this hyper intense period until we can get out and towards the new reality that we're going to unroll. But up until then, I think you have to give yourself and your team permission to say, you know what, it's okay to focus on the base level of this pyramid right now. Let's think about that. Let's give them that space and let them have the ability to say, you know what, it's okay. I don't have to be hitting 100%. I mean, I'd be lucky if I'm at 30% right now sometimes. I don't know about you, but it feels like that sometimes. All right, so how do we get into the right mindset? Well, first off, we got to understand beyond just the security, we're dealing with the ancient parts of our brain right now. About a decade worth of federal dollars that we're studying the brain yielded so many great insights about our brain and how it operates. And one of those things is the fact that it's a product of evolutionary biology. The old part of our brain, back here, the brainstem, the hypothalamus, and the amygdala, all are kind of early reptilian parts of the brain. And then we have mammalian parts of the brain, and then we have this neocortex that right now you and I are using to communicate. I'm speaking, you're listening, and we're kind of listening on the top of our brain. But in reality, it's all back here in the lizard and the monkey part of the brain. And if you know anything about that is, you know, right now, visual cortex sees something and thinks it's a snake. It's going to kick up cortisol. It's going to get, that's a hormone that then sends a lot of blood rushing through you, puts all the blood into your arms and your legs so you could run fast. It gets you, your blood pumping hard, your heart racing. But it also sends out a lot of stuff that takes the immune system down. It takes your cognitive abilities down. and over time wears down the body. So if you're in too much of a stress mode, you're always on the merry-go-round of anxiety, that's going to wear you out. You do not want to be stuck on the merry-go-round of anxiety. And so we can learn from the ancient mystics and those who practice yoga. And the fact is, the breath is the wedge. Right now, the number one thing we need to do is breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And when we do that, we actually can slow ourselves down, allow for our neocortex to come forward, right? And start to at least think through what can we do. Because right now we're not trying to fight a tiger. We're not trying to run from a bear. We're trying to outthink a microscopic virus. And that takes the human neocortex part of the brain, not the old reptilian part. So, I think one of the beautiful things is we can learn from people who've been through a lot of hard times and war zones and natural disasters. And what you hear, a common refrain is, you got to keep moving. You got to keep moving. If you get shell shocked and you stay there and you get frozen, you're going to die. And here, it's not about physically moving. It's about mentally moving. We have to look around us and change our view of what the assumptions are that we're making decisions on and accept new realities, right? Who would have thought a month ago, 2 months ago, that we all would be working from home, stuffed in the same house with a spouse and kids, and the economy's completely shut down. We've got 6 million people filing for unemployment. It's crazy. No one would have thought that. These are new realities that are going to change the way we operate. And one thing we can do is we can learn from Admiral Stockdale. James Stockdale was a prisoner of war in Vietnam, and he noticed over the time that those who survived were not the ones that were Pollyannish, over-the-top, optimistic, nor were those who survived the ones that were doom and gloom pessimists. They were the ones who survived were the ones that had a balanced approach. And this is the Stockdale paradox, is the fact that you as a leader need to recognize the new realities that you have and that you're facing and that your team is facing, and let them know that you know that, and hold out the hope that you're going to make it through this. So it's about recognizing new realities and holding out the hope that we will get through this, and encouraging people, hey, if we can at least take breaths in and out, and we can be thinking, and we can take our time and slow ourselves down, we'll get through this. So that's today's lesson. That is the idea of mindset, the mindset of recognize new realities and hold out the hope. So hope you enjoyed day one. Got 4 more days of this, and would love to hear your thoughts, your ideas, your comments down below, and spread the word about Feed Your Roots today so other people can benefit from these 5 days of knowledge that we're dropping. So thanks again. See you tomorrow.